Hi, welcome to Bunny Designs. I a few years ago, and for some reason I wasn't using it, so I decided it was the fact that I didn't like this plastic. My original one was photo thing by photo album from Paper Chaser, £1.50. It's a 24 album, a 4x6. So 4x6 is roughly our A6. So if you envisage two of these, that's half an A4 cut long ways. That's our printer paper. And the reason I did that was it's cheap and cheerful to use as a page. And then I was putting colours at one side and colours at the other. Then I kind of mangled it up a bit and beefed it up and put other photo albums. I got the other albums and used the plastic, and extra pages were slotted in, and it became quite a fat, chunky one. But I revamped it to this huge photo album here, which was only a couple of pounds. But as I say, I've not used it, and for that reason, I decided that I would revamp it. So I found when I ordered these, I thought they were the same, but these are £3.50, and this particular photo album has 100 holds 100, so it must have 50 pages, 50 plastic sections. And the thing with those sections is, just pop that somewhere. The studio is a complete mess bedroom. This is what I've come up with. Now it's still being stuffed. I've not done anything to it except I've got my water brush, and I've got a Winsor & Newton piece of cloth. You can use a piece of face cloth. Face cloth's a good, dishcloth, anything that's not quite too big would do. And I've split open. This was at the front of my original one. Oh, just bear with me a second while I get rid of something or other. Magic pen and see if I can get. I just need to get auto off. Take me a second or two. Just bear with me. So I did think that that's the original one, and I cut about 5 millimeters, but I nearly cut my hands off. So I decided it wasn't a good idea. But I have another idea for putting all our watercolors into. This is the pans. Now you can stick them in. I just stuck these with glue and used them. So I've got the Elysian Crimson, French Ultramarine, Cadmium Red, Lemon Yellow and Cadmium Yellow, a Sap Green Viridian. Then I've got the Blue Sienna. These were Senilia. So I've got Blue Sienna, Sap Green again, Burnt Sienna, Crimson. And this gave me an idea, and these are Cotman, just squirted on and dried. So what I wanted to do, it says auto focus is off. That's a bit strange. Never mind. So I'll come back to this one in a bit. So what I've done is there's just a few I haven't cut. So you normally put a photograph in here, like so. Oops, missed it. And you would put a photograph at this side. And in between, so this is how you would normally use it: photograph, photograph. And in between, there is a layer of plastic. So what I have done is I have cut the edge down not very nicely, as you see, because I was doing it late last night. So what I have here is I have 1 and 2. So basically that's where you would put the photographs. But I've taken these apart, so now I have 3 extra pages. But the thickness will be about the same. So I've put these extra wet strength papers in between to put color on, and this is about the thickness of a photograph. So technically it wouldn't be so chunky. The difference is that I've got a thin piece of photocopy paper in between the peerless, because they're what I'm going to be putting. So they're a little bit thicker, but as you see, it's going to get really chunky. And the aim is to get, I need to get 1,000 squares of color, and each color 10 shades by adding water. So we've got the strongest to the lightest is about 10. The peerless will probably give us 20, but we'll say 10. So if I can get 10 colors out of every square, and I have 1,000 squares, I have potentially 10,000 colors. And this is the touch and go method. So we don't want to color, we're going to mix colors. We're just going to touch and color, touch and color. Very easy, very simple, using a watercolor brush, preferably this number 1, because it's the driest I've ever found. So I put long time ago my Gansai Tambi watercolors in here, and I think I did 1 video, but if you see, there's a little puddle, just the tiniest bit of a dip. I got a brush and I made a big fat well of color and twisted it and got some more and twisted it and got some more and twisted it. But when I did it, I ended up with a paintbrush, and I think it was about this size. And I didn't want to waste the color. Once I'd put it onto here, I had these drying all over the room and trays. I'd labeled them, and then I did the color. I didn't do the color swatch until after, but I labeled them, then put the color on, and then I used this brush to color a mandala color book that I didn't like. And I ended up coloring 36 pages by just not washing this brush out. So when you're doing your colors and you're washing your brush out, you are wasting of these. I think, oh, this is the one that's missing. So I've got the 3 yellows and the oranges. I've got all these. I've got the greens and the blues. So the last section is missing here with the darks. So I need to do these again, and I'll probably do a video about them, but I puddle. Now, because I did that, Gansai Tambi watercolors have brought out little puddles of color. But there is a video. It's one of my first videos, so it's probably 4, maybe 5 years ago when these first came out. So it's a very, very old video, and I was whispering because I was doing it at 4 in the morning when everybody was asleep. And it took all day and all night. It's not a quick process, purely because I wasn't washing the brush out. I was coloring in different pages. So it was an experiment to show how much paint we waste when we do that. So I've actually pinched the rubber band that goes around there, but hopefully, because the reason I did it was every time I picked this up, I dropped them and they went everywhere. Love the paints, absolutely hate the box. I suppose the best thing to do, you could do, I suppose, is to put a little bit of Blu Tack or a bit of glue underneath. Can't get them out very well. Now, that's one thing to do. Now, I had thought about reusing these wells, but I've never used them out of the box, apart from once. And then once to do this, I use them in here in my little book of colors. So again, I sometimes think I love these reds, but I like my Inktense greens. So instead of having all my Inktense pencils out and these, I can just flip. And that's the beauty of this. I can use my Gansai Tambi watercolors. They're very strong. I can use my Inktense pencils. I have actually put these in the book now. These are actually in. I did it last night while watching television. So these are in. That's the permanent position. And then I'm going to label where they are. If I make some bigger squares, as in these here, instead of just flipping and seeing in my original one, just let me get rid of these. I tried the art bars, I've tried pastels, I've tried soft pastels, I've tried everything to get them in this book. And most of them work, but of course the pastels, they rub off. So you've got to be careful, but anything that's water-based is a potential to go in this book. And if I'm going to try and get 1,000, then I'm going to have to, I think I've got 600 and some. So I need another 400, but I have a plan. So I'll get rid of that one because that's the one to go in the Bible journaling, and it's just watercolor pencils. I'll get rid of that one. And where's the original one? So the original one, I forgot what I was saying now. So I've got these, and there's a piece of plastic in between each one. So that's a piece of what you need to do is, if you are making squares, which is quite a nice idea, you use the extra wet strength sketchbook paper, not watercolor paper, because watercolor paper, when it gets wet, it sucks the color in, and we want to leave the color on top. And if you look, all that color is sitting on top, it's not gone in. So extra wet is for the color, but we want a thin page. So cheap photocopy paper is brilliant for making pages, and most of mine are. Now, the reason I originally did these in squares, because I hadn't realized that I thought this would last me a couple of years. When the square was done, rip it off and replace it, so that if I use too much of one, I'm not wasting the whole page. But what I've found over the years is these pages have been revamped 6 or 7 times. This is the original, and it never damages the paper. Oh, hi Sandpat, welcome to Bunny Designs. Anybody else popping in? So this paper, this extra wet strength, now it's not written on that one, but it is on another one. Let me have a look. This is what you need: acid free 140 GSM extra wet strength, and that's Sea White of Britain. And these are about 99p this size, so you can cut them in half. And it just, I mean, this is a watercolors. There's some watercolors. So this was my degree. It will take a nice bit of water. If you're sketching, it will take a bit of watercolor. So it's nice for that reason. But the best reason is we can sit pencil-based, water-based pencils. We can put a little bit of color on here. It will dry if it's not a pencil or a crayon, like the Gansai Tambi watercolors. It will dry, and it will then allow you to wet it. So because I did this one and I revamped it, I think I've recolored this about 3 times, and there's nothing at all damaged with the paper. It's absolutely brilliant. So I decided to do bigger squares and to do them on a single sheet, because I now know, because of the prototype, this paper will take a lot of batting. I mean, you can't scrub with it, but you can take a lot of color off. This is the Neocolor 2s. And when you get to this point, which I'll show you how to revamp it in a minute, you get these little marks. And the beauty of it is that if you use it flipping, so you might use a blue Derwent watercolor pencil, or you might then go and say, oh, well, actually, there's a nice green in the Neos. This is obviously if you have them. The Gansai Tambi watercolor red, and one of the others if you want to do a brown. And because of this flip touch and go system, you don't tend to wear all of them out all the time. Whereas when I've been using the Peerless, if I've done a whole page, I just tend to use Peerless. They do kind of wear out a bit more. It's not very often, it's the only one that I usually use on its own, but possibly that will change in the new system. But this is the only one that when I'm working in Peerless, the very vibrant colors, I normally work solely with these colors. And I like the fact that I've got 6 yellows, 6 oranges, I flip, I do 6 reds and another 6 reds, I flip, I've got purples, blues and greens, and then I've got more greens and browns, and I've lost another couple of blues somewhere along the line, and then I've got blacks and greys, and extra wet strength. I put that on there before I realized I didn't need to, so that's why I've got that lovely coloring. But you can do that on photocopy paper. And again, I thought that if this one's gone the most, peel it off and replace it. So that's why I did that with these. I do tend to do that because if I am working in the Peerless, I normally stick to the Peerless. Whereas when I was working with the little book, I would flip through. These are my original ones from my original little book. And these lasted me a long time. It's just I decided that I was going to I like the fact of having the bigger squares, and it evolved. That's what it evolved into bigger squares. This is the Inktense. Again, you can see I've used some, but this paper is still perfect. The little palettes are perfect. Hi Kenny, welcome to Bunny Designs. So this particular set here is the Swiss, and I did write down what it was. I also got some Derwent water-based pencil, sketching pencils, the Prismalo. They're the colors that I've used because it's quite good quality pencil. So I've got 36 of these, and they will be going in this book as well. I will be revamping them, and because I've named them, although I've only got 36. The other thing that I found later today was the same thing when you destroy things, you can't find anything. Just put that to one side. You see, I just really didn't like this horrible cheapy one, but it was only a couple of quid. You know, these are £3.50. In here we have the light wash, medium wash and dark wash, which is a 4B, a 2B and an 8B. We've got the light washes here, and then I have a couple of obscure water-based pencils, the Albert Dürer, Burnt Umber, Burnt Orange and Carmine. So everything that's water-based that I found is in this book, this original book. And the little squares kind of worked really well. Although I do like the fact that I can look at all the yellows and then look at all the yellow oranges and things like that. So this is how I like to work. Now, I've got the Graphitint in here as well. So there's 3 pages. Sorry, there's 4 pages because there's 36. There's 24. Beg your pardon. So the Graphitint, and that does some really lovely muted colors. And this is the touch and go system. This is nothing to do with I am going to be mixing colors. This is purely touch and go. And I'm hoping for 1,000 squares, which will give me 10,000 colors. So a bit later, I'll be able to do that. I was looking for the other ones as well. So we've got those. This is the sketch paper that I've marked. And what I do is I kind of roll them in a like a concertina, and I mark off them. Then I do the other side and mark them off and mark them off. So I'm marking about 12 at a time. So that's, I've just put these papers in to prove how thick it's going to be, but it's going to be the same if you had photographs in it, because you would be putting 2 photographs in, and photograph paper is quite thick. So we're just about going to get away with it. I think these are the Peerless, and they're in sets of 2. I'm thinking maybe I might revert back to this. I think I'll revert back to this size because I like this size. It works well. I've got all the yellows, and I've got all the pinks, blues. So I think I'm going to revert back to this size and just replenish these, the ones that I've used the most of. So that should kind of reduce those quite a lot. But if I did this size, which is 2 to a page, that's what I was going to do. I've got room, and again, this is photocopy paper. I've got room to do a color swatch for each one, and then I'm going to write over it in Indian ink what it is. And I've got the color swatch. Or what you could do is maybe just leave a gap at the bottom. Do the color swatch down the side and then write what it is at the bottom. But have 2 on each square. But I think I like the fact that I've got the yellows on one page. There's 2, 4, 6. There's 8 bright yellows. And then we've got chrome orange, amber yellow, orange, and flesh tint. There's another 4, so I might put those on one. So I might do 4s. We'll see how we go. But if I was doing this at the side, I'm going to put a label that would say oranges, reds, blues, oranges, reds, blues, and the tab would be the first, so I could flip. So if I wanted a blue, I could flip to it rather than flipping through all the pages. There will be a little marker that will say Derwent watercolor pencils here, and then this section is the Derwent Inktense pencils. These 3 pages will be labeled on the top. They will be labeled Graphitint. So if I did want to just flick straight to them, I can do. And then they've got the Neos. There's quite a lot of Neos. And again, sometimes it's just nice to flick. It was only if I have a lot of pages that I was going to put the marker on. Of course, the other way you could do it is, and this is if you don't have a lot of, if you just have one set of one thing, you can mix the colors together. So you can still fill a book with lots, hundreds and hundreds of colors by mixing 2 squares, by drawing 2 squares together so that you can mix the 2. The Neo color 2, I've only done it with 1. I had a spare square, and that was gold, which is number 449, which I don't think they make anymore in the Neos, and that's 49. And I decided that I had a spare square, so I scratched gold on it and then put silver over the top. So I can have a dull gold, or I can have a warm silver, depending on how I need a little book. If you've not got many, I still got 600 in this one. And I used the Polly Pocket. Just bear me a second. That was what I need. That was a chair. I've got things all over the bed because I was working. The advantage of not having hubby in a king size bed, it becomes a studio bed. So that was one of the original ones. I didn't realize I had 2 of those. So we have That was another one that I did. I put gouache, but it cracked. So of course that was a failure, but I had gouache. I had trying all sorts of things. That if it was water-based, I was going to try and get it in here. So I had just one of these, and then in the pound shop I found these Polyviews, and in the Polyviews you have these, and they're actually quite nice plastic. So I pulled them out and I stuck them in between, and then that's one of the labels. You probably can cut out Neocolor 2s there. And the way I did the label was I sat it at the end and I put sellotape over half of that side and folded it over so it would just protrude just a little bit. So I might keep all my little labels that I made. So the Polyviews, and again, if this is all you can get hold of, pull some out of the middle of some of them, and you've got quite a fat pocket here, so you can put extra ones in here. But if you've only got a few, you can definitely get 1, 2, 4, 6. You can get 8 pages. And with the small squares that I did, I think I got them on 8 pages. I got 2, 4, 12, 24, 36, 48. So that's what we got there. So I've got this size would be lovely, and that would fit in here quite nicely. And you've still got your 72 colors, but you're leaving the pencils at home. So these were, I think they're about 6 for £1. It is a while ago, but I'm sure they're still floating about, the little Polly Pockets. But you can buy these online. I can't find the little one anymore, but you've got the big one. And if you use the big one, I like this one because this was dead easy. You just got the photocopy paper. And so if you think that that's a photocopy paper, so you fold it in half, and then you fold it in half long ways, and then you cut it long ways. It becomes perfect size to make a page. And then the other one that you cut off there will go in there. And what you want is, because if you're at the doctor's or the hospital and you're colouring away, and the doctor calls you, you need to shut it and go. So even though it's wet, the plastic above, it won't contaminate, because where it's blue, it will touch blue. And this, although it's photocopy paper, it's, as I say, it lasted me 5 years. It doesn't tear because we're not doing that with it. We're just doing that with it. And it works really well. And of course, you need the plastic, so you can put something on that one, and that will give you so many pages. And I really like this one. I love this one. It's my favorite, and I can hold it better. Probably more difficult than holding the other one. So I can't remember how many I said was in that one. So these are all the kind of prototypes, and when I took it to bits, this is all the plastic from the Polyviews. These are all the Polyviews. I used 2, I think, and this was the pastel. I had all my pastels in here. I had lots and lots of colors, and I think at the end, as I say, I think this is another bit that I'd and labeled them all. So that was the prototype. That if you look at the old videos, that's the one you will see. And I think I wish I'd not revamped it, because I really don't like this one. So I'm going to use some of these labels for this one. But again, there's something nice in having a new, fresh, clean. I thought I stuck all these in. Is that the one I've missed? I haven't put that one in yet. I think the reason I haven't put it in is because I haven't done anything with the other side. And we've got the plastic. So if I wet this one and shut it, it doesn't matter because it's not going to contaminate. So I should have 36 of the Gansai Tambi watercolors, and it might be okay. I think the fact that because it's going to hold all these colors, it's going to be used. And of course, now I'm not going anywhere. But I have been known to put that other one in my handbag. But this one would still go in my bag, as I say, with a water brush and that. And that's going to give me 10,000 colors without mixing, just touch and go. And I think that's going to be enough for anybody, really. I'm a bit of a greedy Yorkshire lass, but there we go. So we have to watch this space. So have we got any questions? Oh, hi, Suzanne. Welcome to Bunny Designs. I'll try and get Alfie up. He was supposed to have a bath yesterday. We live in hope. So these particular ones here, if you notice, they're on the original, because this one is on the end of the, this is how it was, because it opened this way. So I need to now take this one off, and I'm going to put this one into here. I think I may leave it as these squares. The other idea was I was going to give this to my daughter so she could use it. So again, if it becomes like this, the chances are I've just stuck it. I don't know if I've got any knives or scissors. This is sellotape stuck in either side, and then we've got the plastic. So if you can tell, it's once you put sellotape, ordinary sellotape, onto plastic, it's not going to go. It's not going to go anywhere. The fact that I'm going to throw this away, I hate wasting things, but it just is not working. So I just need some scissors after a mouthful of coffee. So scissors over. I am using invisible because I don't have any sellotape upstairs, so I am using invisible sticky tape to put these in. That's how I've put these in. And it's a bit tricky. You've got to kind of fiddle about until you want half the sellotape to stick to the plastic and half to stick to the ridge. And if you do the color swatch at the bottom, that's all you're covering up. So all this is not touched. You can get all the color off. And the other one, the other way. And it's not easy, but it's okay. We can do it. So if I just do this and set it off, it's not going to do it. So I need to cut out. As I say, I'm not happy the fact that I've and if you look inside here, it's just a little strip. So if we're really careful, we can take that out. And that's how I managed to put it in there. So we'll take that out as well. I ended up with lots of little bits everywhere. So now this is the original photocopy paper. I've actually got two because I stuck these on separately and then I stuck them together side by side. So now that will go in here. So I've left a space for that one, but I'll take these out because I don't know if I'm going to make bigger squares of those. So we have that one here. And now that's going to have a dead end, really, because there's nothing on the back of it. So then I want a piece of plastic. And then I shall stick that one in there. because it's on both sides. So that plastic's going to protect that, and that plastic's going to protect that one. And then I'm going to open that up. That is the original one because it's thicker. And then I shall put, oh, beg your pardon, put that one in there, and then put that one in there. So what that does when they're stuck in, oh, look at that. I can put that there. How amazing. There we go. Look, it's sticky. Let me just tidy that up a bit, because it was originally a side pocket. Of course, now I'm making it a flap that way. So it's got a little bit of sticky tape on there, but not much. It doesn't need much because it's not actually going to go anywhere. So that's perfect, because that means I've got that with the plastic. Flip. I now go to my my PLS. Flip. And on this side here, so again, that's what I love. I've got all the yellowy orange ones. Flip over. And then this one will come out and go there. So when I say that I'm revamping, now this one might not work because it's on sticky. So that one will have to go there. And then I'll pull this one off. This is the easier bit, because this is the original page, and I know I'm wasting it, but it was an experiment, and I did only pay £2 for this. And I didn't ever think I would use it as a photo album. Is try and get one. So it's not going to be stuck in properly, but let's just put now I do tend to put them upside down, don't I? So that's the right way up, that's the right way up, so it's the right way up there. Right, so if I put these two together, so all this is the right way up. I can see all my pinks, but there's the plastic in between to protect. Turn that one over. And now this is where it gets a bit silly, because I found an extra ones that I don't know what I've done with. Again, pull this out. So I think I'm going to take these. Again, this is what I envisaged to do if I used it up too much, is take these off. And it doesn't matter about getting them mixed up now, because they are named. So I'm not going to get confused, because they are all named Mountain Green. So if I put sky blue and that blue there, or rather the other way around, we'll put that one there. This is what I made, these little sketchbooks. Now again, it is on sketchbook paper, which makes it quite nice, but it's up to you if you want to waste it. For 99p you would probably make everything, so I can take that one out of there, and now that one will go into there. And I've got two more greens in here for some silly reason. I have lost some of these. I don't know what I've done with them. So they now, flip that over there. These now need to go on this sheet here. And then when we flip it over, I need to put these colours here. So these are my neutral ochre colours, straw pale brown ones. As I say, I think there is some missing somewhere. I don't know what I've done with them. So we've nearly taken all these out of that one. And again, that's the original one. So I like to do them in sixes. So we've got, there's 3 browns and 3 blacks. So I'll leave that one as is. Flip the plastic, and then on this side put the 3 browns and 2 blacks and the pearl grey. I think it's pearl grey rather than, but I've lost the P off there, because that's where my hinge was on my original one. So I've got a little bit of a strip missing off the side there, because it was a sideward, now it's going to be that way. So then I can flip that over, And there my ink tends, oh gosh, sorry guys, there my peelers are in there now. So the next ones, I'm going to put these in because they are almost as good. They're not quite, but again, you see it's stuck in. Sorry about the noise, guys. So double-sided sticky tape. If you do it very slowly, it should peel. If you're impatient like me and you wreck it, you probably won't. So you can see that's how I stuck that one in. So we'll just, I'm not going to take that out because I might need that to go in the bottom. Actually, I might need that. So that's the Swiss color there. So the next one is on what would have been the back of the photo, where the photograph goes. So that's come off quite nicely. And I could put these together, but what that will do, if I put that one there and that one there, just, it did stick to that, didn't it? Just because I want to keep that separate. So pretend that that's there and there's no gap. If I put these two together, I'd be doing this. But if you start with an odd one, say card there, I then put that one, oops, here. That gives me my yellows and my oranges. But obviously you want to do them as you wish. So flick that one over. So the next one to go in is this one. And this one, it is actually on photocopy paper. This is a solid piece of extra wet strength. So you've got to be careful with this one because it might be easier to take it off the paper, because I've torn a couple of them and I don't want to damage where I'm going to be putting colour on because I want it to keep them. I use double-sided sticky tape. Sorry about the noise. Right, so that one would have to stick in there. So again, if it was easy to get it off here, it's double-sided sticky tape, which is not normally very forgiving, but this has been in here a while, so let's just have a look. It's working. My hands aren't brilliant, but this is working, but you do it slowly. If you pull too much, you will rip the paper, and we don't want to rip the paper because we don't want ripping the photocopy paper, but we don't want to rip this extra wet strength because this is what's going to keep this color going. So now we put that one on this side and it will stick. The other thing you can do is to save that. So this is sticky and this is sticky, and they're going next to each other. So we'll put that down and then we'll match this one up. And they're both sticky. Now obviously they're going to be fresh sticky because you've just done it. So what we have now is we have the first page, which I'm just going to temporarily stick in there. We've got the first page, we've got a bit of plastic to protect it, and then we've got, so we can see all our yellows, and then we've got the next page. So we need another bit of plastic, and obviously this one has to be stuck in. And then we have another one. If I'm very careful, again, you've got to be a bit careful because this is the extra wet strength paper we do not want to damage. So again, now that can go here. And then I've got all the reds and the pinks. So if I just put that like that, and I take the purple one, again, it's stuck on photocopy paper, so we'll get that out first. Sorry about the noise, guys. So this is completely trashing this old this one because I don't like this plastic. It's getting on my nerves. I'm revamping my watercolor book to hold. I'm going to try and get 10,000 square, 1,000 squares. Now that's actually quite well in that one, so I'm going to very carefully peel. And if you're peeling and it's coming away, oops, I'm tearing the paper, look. I'm tearing the card, which you don't want to do. So do the bottom first. Now, obviously, if you're just making this, and chances are you've got yours where you like them, it's tearing the wrong one. Just slow and steady, slow and steady, slow and steady. That's it. So we want the reds together, so we put that down, and we want them to be readable. So we want that one like that, so we can read them all the right way up. Flip that over. And this is probably what you would do when you are putting your pages in. As I say, originally I made the little squares so we could, I made the little squares so that, as I say, if I'd used one of so many colors, I didn't want to waste the whole page, I could rip it off. But if you use extra wet strength paper, you will find it will last you quite a long time. But the choice is yours. You can make the little squares. You can, these are the Swiss ones, and then there's the other ones, and the Swiss ones didn't have a number. And I'll show you those. I don't know where they are actually. I think I might give. Again, I've got another one that's been on the paper, on the actual inside one. So this wants to be this way up. So I'll put that like that. And the reason for just putting that odd page first means that your colours, you can see colours that are near each other. Now, again, I've got sellotape on there. I mean, this was an experiment and it didn't work because I've not been using it for months. So obviously there's something wrong with it. Again, we want to see all those colours. So we turn that over. And then we'll match these two up. So if you wanted to do that, make your squares, colour them in before you put them in the book. Don't, for goodness sake, because these are all loose. These are just to show how thick it's going to be. These are all loose. Colour the squares first, then put them in. And then you can decide where you want them. Now that's not gone right. So that one goes on there. We flip that over. And then that one goes on. And then we have these. So again, I think the Swiss watercolor pencils did not. Oops. So I called Swiss Caran d'Ache. I won't swear to it. Taking that out because I don't need it. So that's going to be the next one, but it's got a, because I've not used my little book for maybe a year, maybe more. I don't know. I can't remember. I did use it in the hospital a couple of times when you go to hospital, you have to. So you can see once you've done it, even in a cheapy one, it's quite in there. It's not going to move. I'm going to try and get it off the photocopy paper just to keep this as thin as possible. And I don't need it. If you are using the extra wet strength, stick to back, because that way it all depends on the layout of your pages. So there's a bit of sticky on this one. So again, we want to see that one, and that one. So match these two up. So we've got plastic, oopsie, plastic, and plastic. There's got to be plastic between. I think it's that way, and then it's take that one out. So I'm only showing you these so you see how fat it is. And it's still going to lie flat because it's got to kind of lie flat a bit. So hi guys, anybody else popping in? Welcome to Bunny Designs. Hi Shannon, anybody else popping in? I'll see if I can get the boy up. I'll text the girls to see if they'll bring the boy up. Oh, I'll just ask. There's somebody at the door. There's somebody upstairs. I'm isolated in the bedroom. I just asked. Samantha, could you bring Alfie up, please, for a bit of a calm? Thank you. Sam was very brave today. She went to the little village shop to get some food because we're a bit down on food. But we were going to do a big shop, but I can't get anybody to deliver. And I finally got through to Sainsbury's on that line, and it says we're not taking calls after 10 minutes. So there's going to be a lot of people that can't get out to shop. Yeah, Suzanne is still bad. Suzanne says she hasn't seen the book. It's so good to be back, guys. I have to say, I just didn't realize how much I missed everybody, but I lost my confidence a bit. So but anyway, I'm waffling. Right, so this is, as I say, these were the Swiss watercolors. I think I've got a set of 36, and I've also got, which I didn't buy, they were in that box I bought many years ago for a very small price, and I did buy a set of 36. Oh, I wrote it down somewhere what they were called. So put that one there next, and it's just a personal preference, but I just love opening it up and seeing the colors together. I mean, you might want to see those colors together like that. So always leave the first page. And the reason I left the first page originally was I could put this on the first page, and this is going to protect this. And I use that as a mixing palette. So really, you've got millions of colors in here, but we're not going to go there because I nearly sliced my fingers off. So not a good idea. I'm going to show you an alternative, but it wasn't. But disregard the original one because you will end up with no fingers. And unfortunately, at this particular time, there's nobody to stitch your fingers back on. So I'm sorry about all the noise. But as you can see, that's stuck in with just 2 bits of cheap sellotape. I'm having to use and then what you can do then when you get it off is to pick off the sellotape and make it as thin as possible. Oh, look, I'm actually going to try and get this off the photocopy paper. Now, chances are you probably will never do this. So this is why, think about your book, think about the size you want, think about what you've got to put in it. The one thing I will say is you can always add to it. So maybe you've got these here and you don't want to cut them. You don't have to cut them. If you've got 100 photos, you won't get 100 pages, but you will get a page in between each one. So I need to do it with a this is how I made mine. So I've got photocopy paper and you just slot it in like that. This is the easiest way. There we go. You see, you've got that. Flip it open. Now, if it's the top loading one, this is the best one, because when you've put this one in here, like so, like that, you're just flipping the page. So that plastic's protecting that, that's protecting that. You can't put one here, flip it over and put the next one in. Now, as you can see what I did, right, that's all I did, but I stuck an extra bit of plastic in here. And then I put another one in here. So I managed to get another one. So in one sleeve, I had that, and then I had that. You do that depending on what you've got to put in your thing. I will say, I don't know if it'll work in theory because of the Gansai Tambi watercolors. In theory, oh, Suzanne says she remembers when I was cutting the bit. Yeah, cut the bits off and nearly sliced my fingers. in theory, if I just move that for a second, that will shut. All these tubes of colour we've got, all these tubes of colour are going to be put on here. And I've got probably maybe 100. Not sure if they're different colours, probably they're not. I may have about 50 different colours. So all my professional and my unprofessional watercolours, I will be making puddles. And that's where I'm going to beef it up. And again, we're not going to mix colours. It's touch and go. But you'll probably find that a burnt sienna in Winsor & Newton and a burnt sienna will be maybe called something else in a different manufacturers. They're slightly different. So you might have 6 browns, but we'll go through that as we come to it. But all these I'm going to squeeze out and make a puddle. And it works with very good quality pigment, because this is the Cotman one, and the only one that was sticky for months was the Senilia. But there is a crack in that, because I'm going to put this on a postcard. This is the only one that's going to go on a postcard watercolor, because it's going to dry as a pan. And then if you think how many watercolors you've got, these can then go in. You don't want them very thick though. A couple of millimeters is going to give you tons of color. And then you can put the postcard, the watercolor postcards, which aren't very expensive to buy. You can put those in here as well. So before you stick them in, have a bit of a play like I've done. Have a bit of a play, because you will probably find that you're going to get a lot more than you thought you were. So that one's in there. This is stuck, you see. You've got to keep an eye on what you're doing, and what we don't want to do is to damage this. We don't want to damage this plastic, and we don't really want it sticky, because that's not what we want. So that one's going in there. Turn that one over. Put that one like that. Eek. And then put these two together like so. So this set is the Swiss Caran d'Ache watercolors. I think there's 36. I might have to count them. But I've kind of mixed them in, and the Swiss ones are not named. But if you look at the Swiss ones, you probably find that those two are both terracotta, but they're different. And that's brilliant, because it gives us extra colours without doing anything. So I've come to the end of this now. See, these are never used this side here. I won't waste these. I'll think of something to do with it. Definitely won't waste it. But I've come to the end of the tether with that, so I can just bob that away. It was all photocopy paper that I wasted, so again, not going to cry over that. So now I've got to be a bit careful with this one, because it might stick. So I've got to make a decision now. Yeah, because I had an odd one. I did have an odd one at the front, if you remember. That odd one is the yellow one there, which is stuck to the back of one of those, and I had to do that. So we've got the Swiss Faber-Castell watercolor pencils, and it's the one with the picture of the tiger on the front. I think it's a tiger. So we've got 36 of those. So of course it's color. It's very good quality pigment, not quite as good as the Derwents, as you can see. They're not as creamy, but still there's a lot of color on here, and it's a touch and go system. So I might not have that pink in my Winsor & Newton set. I've got similar. Now the other thing you can do, and I did think about this, but I like this way of working, is you could cut all these colors out and put them next to each other. So if you had the Swiss Caran d'Ache pink, you could put it next to the rose magenta for the and then you could put it next to another pink that you have with the neos. But I actually like to have them separate. But it doesn't matter what I do. I can still flip and use this pink, and then I can go to a Derwent and use that yellow, and then I can flip and use a purple from the others. So that's the beauty of this. And also, as I say, you can't physically get all these originals in their original state. You can't get them on your table. I think you'd have to have a very, very big suitcase to put all these in, and then you could never have them open ready to just touch it at that time. So it's a really nice way to use all your products. And the other thing is, sometimes you use them, you think, oh, I forgot about that color, and so you will go to the original and get them out and use them. So it does have other things. And don't forget, with the Inktense colors, when you're using your Inktense pencils and your Inktense blocks, this is the color guide. Because when you're looking at these colors, you haven't a clue what they're going to do. But when you look here, you can see all those different advantages of all these colors from one square. So I hope that makes sense. So I've got those in. I might have to put this on the back of another one. I don't really want to do that quite yet, because I might want to do it. I might want to put something else in it. Did I leave a space for those? That's an original. I've now lost tally of my original ones now. So again, these are not stuck in. I've not put them in yet. I'm just playing with the colors because you might change your mind, but I kind of like the way that these fall. So this last one, I might have to put on a piece of photocopy paper because it's thin. And of course, I'm going to find one in here that I've just pulled out that I might be able to use. And it's ugly and sticky, but it doesn't really matter because it's going to do the job as long as it's not sticky on both sides. I really could do one that's not sticky on both sides. I'm not going to find one. I'm just going to stick. Let's see if I stick it anywhere else. You can guarantee. Right, that's a photocopy paper. So if I stick it, and I want it that way, don't I? So stick it there. And we want a piece of plastic between. Must have the piece of plastic between, because that stops contamination. If you didn't have the plastic, these would mix with these and you'd end up with a puddle of mess. So that's why you do it. Oh yes, Suzanne, they were $14, weren't they? Yeah, they were £14. Yeah, they were the peelers. So if you see now, they're getting chunky, but that's not going to bother me. If it really gets too fat, I will crease here and crease there, and that will reduce it. So instead of sticking out and be like that, it will be level, parallel. But that, again, it's not going to bother me. The thing is, this is my touch and go system. So as I say, that and the eraser. I think I may take these out. Oh, I seem to have lost one. No, I don't. I think I may take these out because I've got them in there. And they will do for the moment. I do have some little squares left. I have some little squares left. I can still use those. There's one or two that I haven't got. Decisions. it all depends on the watercolors, because I want to get the watercolors in. So that's that one and that one. I think I did leave a bit of a space. No, that was in that one. Let's come to that one. Might leave a bit of space for those, because I said there's a couple that I haven't got. So the Swiss one, I might just leave that one. So we've got the Gansai Tambi water, the yellow ones. We'll take that out. Got a mark on there. Flip that over. Put the blue one. Take the card out. Flip that over. And then pretend that that's got, so 6 6s are 36. So that's going to be my Gansai Tambi watercolors done. And then this is the section to play with. So these are extra wet sketchbooks pages that I've marked ready to put color on, whether it be pencil or whatever. So let me just have a flick through here and see what else I've got. As I say, I was doing the same with the Derwent art bars. So I've got my Derwent art bars. The gouache, as I said, was a mistake. It cracked. But there's nothing to say that the others are going to do that. So I can pop this to one side now. Just leave some of these out. Now you can draw the squares on or not, depending on, oh, wait a minute, I've got some Prismalo here. So the other thing I've got are the Prismalo Caran d'Ache. I've got some shiny pastels. Oops, I'm pulling them off. That's double-sided sticky tape. So those are, oh, there's the Graphy Tint. So what I've done there is actually made a page. So I'll have to put those in again. So again, they're the Prismalo, and they're metallic. And I have 12, somewhere in here, there are 12 Derwent metallic pencils. Now, these are not the ones that they've brought out now. They are definitely not the ones they brought out now, because the ones that Derwent have brought out now are not water-based. So don't be confused. This is a vintage set of Derwent watercolor. I'm just looking for all these posty card things that are a bit thicker than extra wet strength. So that I did have quite a few of these poster ones. As I say, that's the Neos. I tried everything. That's the, you see, very waxy. There's a lot of colour on there. These are the Derwent art bars. And they are in there somewhere. I will be putting those in there because they are very crumbly, but I don't, again, I can't use them as is because it's a bit difficult. It's a bit difficult when, let's try and use the same labels. With the, because they're a difficult shape and I'm always dropping them. So that's the only reason. And again, those colors I was talking about the other day, they're just amazing, those colors. So that's how I put the label on. So this is Doe Inktense pencils, and it has Inktense on one side and Inktense on the other. So it's Neo colors. So that's Graphy Tint. So somewhere, if I stick, I can stick it here. I think I might stick it there. So I can stick that there, and then I know that's where my Neos are, because the other thing is, when you have so many, you have to label them because you won't remember where they all are. You really won't remember where they all are. I might make some new labels. Actually, I've decided I might smarten it up a little bit. So the remnants of the old way. So I'm just going to put this to one side because I'm not going to be putting these colours in for a while. So I need a tray. Oops. So again, they will be not going to the edge either. That's another reason. I'm making longer spines. I'm making them longer. So when I put them in, they're not in at the bottom. There's a bit of a gap here. So I've just stolen the rubber band from the Gansai Tambi watercolors, and it's really frayed and edged when the rubber bands go off after a while, I think. And so, but you can see it's going to snap because it's dried. But I think that's going to be quite a nice little pot. But I'd rather carry that round than anything else. So I'm just going to put that to one side for a minute. So she have to put it in the bin. So these are postcard. Put that out the way. So I've got extra wet strength, so we'll do an experiment. In fact, I don't know if the reason I want to do it is when you've got that weight, it might buckle a bit. So that's why, just for these particular watercolors, I think I'm going to use the card. I think that's why I used it, because it's not flimsy. And remember, you're going to have a lot of weight on here because you're going to have blobs of color. So the next thing to do is to get rid of your bits and pieces and your rubbish and anything else that keeps getting in your way. Oh yes, it is easy. The cover I made, I put the Peerless postcard when they first sent me. I had a Peerless postcard, and I used to keep that at the front. But I've got a postcard here. This has got my doodles on it, and if you put that there, you've got a cover. But obviously I had to leave mine loose because I want to use that as palette with those but yeah, you can use it like that, and or you can put something over the top, or you can leave the leave the first sleeve and either put a photograph in, or you could put your drawing in, or your name, or your logo, and use it that way. So you can leave out the top page and still use the other side of the page. You still use that side. So that's another thing that you could do if you wanted, because it is see-through, and make it pretty. I will make mine pretty, but just not at the moment. So have you got any questions, guys? Oh, hi, Amber. Anybody else popping in? Apologies if I've missed you. But if you want to say hi, I'll give you a shout out. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching on YouTube. So I'm going to have a look at my paints. I just asked Cubby to bring Alfie up. Just ask him to bring Alfie up. Oh my goodness me, that's going to be a bit. So I met a lovely lady when I bought these paints. Don't fit my hook. Oh, I have bought a Derwent pencil sharpener, but I've not put it on anything yet. Oh. Sorry about the rattle, guys. Might be a bit noisy when I get all the paints out. If in doubt, to try another one. Let's see. Let's see if that works. Oh, let's have a look. So I've been buying vintage sets of watercolors. So I've ended up with quite a lot of and you can always use these. You can always use these for sketching. You don't have to just use it for colouring. If you want to go out sketching, this is a brilliant set. I'm filling in a drawer without looking at it. So I've ended up with a lot of colours that I wouldn't normally have. Sorry about the rattle, guys. I don't think this is all of them, but we'll have a look. So I've got 2 of each of these. I'm just going to take one each out of those. Right, so we'll put them in a colourish order. So we'll have reds and yellows. And this might take a while and be very boring. So if you're watching on YouTube, just fast forward it a bit. These are those. Need those yet. So we'll probably find I think the only 2 colours I may not put in is white. Well, I definitely know I won't put white in. As I say, I do know I won't put white in. So I've got greens. Now these have only come about because I've been buying vintage sets of colours. So there's been a lot that's kind of repeated itself, kind of. So you've got reds and oranges. And I've bought a lot on vintagey sites as well. No, so when I bought, I've been buying the boxes of the watercolors, and that's why I've ended up with quite so many. So we're going to put the pinky ones over there. Cadmium, oranges. I think that's about. There's a Prussian blue and they normally have them. What's that? An ultramarine green. Disregard that one. So we've got some more yellows. There's the Windsor yellow. And again, I've been buying the boxes. And I'm going to be using this as the touch and go system. It's not really going to be and I've been quite lucky. I've found these sets for £10 and £20, whereas some of these paints are more. But this will work with the other sets as well. I don't know what I want to say. Brain's gone a bit squiddled. So I'm going to leave white in there, and I think I'm going to leave black as well. I don't think I'm going to use black or white really. So, and the greens. I've been squeezing these out in other things, so that's why they're a bit thin on the ground. So that might be a good idea to get rid of those. Purple colour and a brown. Yes, never buy oil. I don't buy oils and acrylics, but if you buy a watercolor and it's hard, you can open it up and it becomes a pan. You can still use it and try and open it up without breaking it, and then you'll end up with a pan. I did that with a couple of them a while ago. That's white. I don't want that. I don't think I'm going to put black in. No, I don't think I'm going to put black. I don't think so. So I've got I've got burnt umber and raw umber. But again, that's a Cotman set. Now I do have a Cotman set. I've been buying a lot of these vintage sets. Now that one is my, I've got some more in there. See, sometimes you end up with quite a lot. See, this is a vintage set, and these will be solid, but dead solid. But if you open them up, you can use them. I'm not actually going to use this one because it's an original set, but you've got to be a bit careful. And if you are buying them secondhand, just ask people and say, are they solid? Are they squishy? And then you can find out from there. So I've managed to get, I just need to know my shoes. I'll put them on there. But yeah, I've had a bit of a spree. My problem is I can't open the blooming tins once I buy them. But I've had a bit of a spree of buying vintage sets. But you've got to ask if they're so these are the Neos, and if you can see, the edges are missing, and that's because I've put all these in my little book of watercolors. Now I've got some Sennelier. I think I'm not going to use those because they're my professional ones. I know these are professional ones. I'm just looking for them. It doesn't work with gouache. I wish it did. They crack. They seem to crack quite a lot. So that was a disaster. But if you look on here, I've squirted a little bit of colour out. And if you can see, they're dried. So that's what really you can use that much, and that colour is very vibrant. If it's a Cotman watercolour, if it's a professional watercolour, if it's fairly good quality, and if you can use it like this and it's very bright, then you can put it on postcards. That amount will last months. I'm going to put some little squares on mine. So that's what gave me the idea to do that, because it then, oopsies, it then kind of makes us go a bit further. And now I found these for about £1 or £2, a ridiculous price. This is what I've got my Neos in, and all these scratched. There's some I've got insects, so I've got them. So they'll go in your little books. They'll go on extra wet strength sketchbook paper. Now this is a set of round. I bought this because I liked the tray, and these are squishy, so these can go in here as well. But again, there's a lemon yellow, vermilion, alizarin crimson, French ultramarine, Prussian blue. I think I've got a Prussian blue there, which is the same make. Yellow ochre. I've got a couple of yellow ochres, Viridian, burnt sienna, and ivory black. So I probably might leave that set as is. They do the same one in a watercolor. I've not opened these. These have been opened, but I've been buying these when they've been going for ridiculous prices. I've bought quite a few, so I've bought quite a lot of pan sets as well. But I'm looking for my other sets. Now, another thing you could do, but I'm not sure if they'll come out. I thought I'd look on these. These are quite good. Now, I'm sure a couple of these fell out on me. And this is quite handy, but then you'd have to have them all spaced out. Whereas if there's a way you could stick these in, because they're good quality, but you need a fairly good quality. Another one that are really expensive but beautiful are these. I've not used this little set yet. I've put it in an old cigarette case with some miniature little brushes, and again my 6 colors. So it's some in here. Again, I think I've got this set. I bought it twice by accident. Gold brown. I think I've got a gold brown. Yeah, gold brown. So can't find any cotton colours at all. I don't know what I've done with them. I probably have passed them on to Need to go through that drawer to see if I can find this. So that is a mystery. I seem to have lost. I seem to have lost my cotton. There is a set of watercolours in there. I don't know where I put my cotton watercolours. Just can't remember where I put them. That's interesting. I just can't remember where I put them. But somewhere I've got some cotton watercolours. They'd be perfect. Oh, that's to put my daughter's paints in there. The other ones I probably will be putting in as well are these. Now, this is my daughter's set. So I'm glad to see they've put a piece of plastic over the top now. So it's a lovely set, Suzanne. I'm not sure, and that might work with puddles as well. But I know that's very chalky. When I've used it before, it's a bit chalky. You could make puddles with these, and being very, very strong, that would work. I've seen on the website that they've got some metallic. They've got a metallic one out now, so a bit tempted. Bit of a Derwent nut. So again, I think I've got a gamboge here. These I really did squeeze out, so I probably will try and use these up. It's a French ultramarine. So I could take these out of here. Umber gold. So I think I could use some of these colours. But as I said, you see that's still sticky, that one. So that one is one of these. I think that's carmine. That will never dry. So the other thing I had to do, and I've just remembered this, very important. Very important. If you make something like this, you need to put some cushioned corners at the side. So when it shuts, it leaves a gap, because that one will never dry. The very, very professional, very high quality, very expensive watercolor paints, they will not dry because it's there. They've got a lot of pigment. Squidge out a square that big and it'll last a long time, and it's never touched. Oh, if I open it up, and I tell a lie, actually, that's on extra wet sketchbook paper. But you see, when I'm in, it's really heavy. It's quite heavy. So I wouldn't cut these pans because you will probably cut your fingers off. And at the moment, there's nobody available to stick them back on. So I would put some little cushion squares, or make cut some card up and double side it, roll some sellotape round, and then stick it down, and it will make a little bouncy thing. So when you shut it, there's a gap, because you'll need that gap, because the professional watercolors will not dry. Now the Cotman one does eventually, and the other ones do, but some of these were sticky because they're very, very, very professional quality. You can just put the 6 colors on, which is what I like to do. But then I thought, well, if I want to carry on with this, trying to get as many colors as possible, I'm going to try and put as many of these in as I can, because I can't get the tops off these. So actually, for me, they're better in this kind of environment, and they're better in here, so I can use them and I won't forget about them. So yeah, you've got to put a bit of a squishy something on. So let me think what I've got. I might have some sticky dots. Have a look. Sticky dots. I think I put them in my other. I've had a bit of a sort out. Yeah, and a lot of my things Indeed. Yeah, a lot of my things I put down. Nice sticky dots. Oh, I've just bought some glycerine. I'm really cross. Yeah, I've got 4 lots of glycerine. Not very happy. Right, guys, that's my plates. That's my plates. As I'm living on my own up here. Oh dear. Right, so we're going to have to do it the hard way. Right, I found some double-sided sticky tape. All my tapes and everything are in my my cabinet that I was making. So what we need to do is we won't waste that. We can get rid of that. We need a pair of scissors. And we need some photocopy paper, which I have. Oh, I can use the scruffy. I can use the rubbish bit, can't I? Where's it gone? We can use this horrible paper. So what we need to do, you can do it 2 ways. Let's think of the easiest way. Is if we cut this way. Obviously, you can use what you've got. I'm just going to try and tidy that up a bit. So this is the width of my page. And it's got sticky on the end, so it's going to be a bit difficult. I'm going to fold it in half. And then fold it in half again. And then fold it in half again. And then I'm going to fold that one in half. Fold that one in half. Oh, fingers don't work particularly well. Fold that one in half again. Just cut some gunk off the end. Right. So I'll try it on extra strength, extra wet strength, and then we don't have to go out and buy the postcards. Oh, sorry guys, that would be a bit loud. So I need a bit of sellotape in there because it's not sticking as well. A bit in that one. Oh, my sticky tape's gone doolally. Well, at least it worked. Oh my gosh, that's a bit gunky. I think the first time you make this, it might be a bit of a disaster, so I think we might have to do it again. As I say, my sticky tape's playing up, so it's doing it the wrong way, peeling it off instead of sticking it on. Right. I've had all my sticky tape for a long time and hadn't realised that it would go off. Right, so put that in there. We'll fill that in half. So what we're trying to do is to make a bit of a ridge. And this isn't going to be pretty, unfortunately. This is not going to be pretty unless we make it pretty. This is very, very rough. And one thing we don't want, one thing we can't have though is we can't have sticky on the top because it will stick to the page. Oh, there's Alfie outside bit showing us up. They will let the dogs out. Sorry, guys. It's like World War III out there. Let's just put a bit of sticky on that, and then we can. This is a bit messy. I'm sure we could do better. My hand not work very well. But I've made something that will oh God. Oh, my double-sided sticky tape won't stick to the tape, but it will stick to everything else. So let's put another one. Let's stick that on there now. Right. Basically, I'm just trying to make it. If you've got the not sticky dots, what do you call them? The mounting dots, mounting squares. If you've got anything like that, we're trying to make a bit of a. And this is very old sticky tape, kind of really old. So right. So I've made a makeshift, very rough kind of oh, for goodness sake, Heather. A raised edge. I don't know what they're called. They're called sticky. They're called raised dots and raised things. Why not the camera? Basically, what I've done is I've made it an edge. So if I stick that to my, again, this is really ugly, but it's going to work. Just tidy those up a little bit. We don't look completely okay. So if I put that there and that there, when I put my layer of paint, if it does remain sticky, it doesn't matter, because it's not going to touch the other page. The plastic will sit on top. I've had my Hydrus stick together, because I put Hydrus in mine and the sticky dots. I've had those stick, but you just peel it apart. And that's the other thing. I had 18 Hydrus colors as well in there. I had the other idea of putting it in my daughter's empty little cups that hold the contact lenses, but they disintegrate, so it didn't work. So I've tried all sorts of things, but again, we could have so many of one color. Now, one thing I haven't done is stuck this down. It is going to be ugly, guys. It's not going to be pretty, but it's functional. And again, you might want to play and do a rough one, and then if it works and you like it and you use it, then you can kind of cover these in nice material and make it nice and fancy, and you can do all sorts of things with it. But the idea is, just at the moment, it's just going to hold that apart. Now, the other thing I could do is glue one of these down if I wanted. So I think I like the idea of having the yellows and the oranges together, and then the cadmium reds and the pinks together, purples and purple blues together, cool blues. I don't think I've got any turquoisey colours, and then the greens together, light greens on one, dark greens on another, and then the browns. I think that's probably going to work. So the next thing to look at is colours. So there might be a little bit in there, but there might not be. we want gamboge. So that's gamboge. So I'm going to put, and that's a you might find that these two are different because one belongs to one family, one belongs to the other. There's a gold, there's a Naples yellow, Windsor yellow, and then all of these I think are the same. They're all Windsor yellow, these. Oh no, that's new gamboge and transparent yellow. That's new gamboge as well, so we've got that one. And I've got a Windsor yellow. And a Windsor yellow. Now you won't know what these are until we squirted them out. Oh, Suzanne says White Nights watercolor. And if they're in now, if you really wanted, you could take the pans and glue them in. You could do that, but then sometimes, I suppose we could do that. So I'm going to get rid of those and put them in there. These bits and pieces. I always make such a mess when I do a live show. I've got to finish my coffee. I'm going to put that there somewhere because it's a bit icky sticky, that. So I can put these away because I've got a lemon yellow. Now that's a Windsor yellow and that's a Windsor yellow, but one's cadmium and one's oh no, they're all Winsor & Newton, right? That's okay then. And I've got a lemon yellow. I don't have a lemon yellow, so we can pop those away. So I've got 2, 4. So we've got to think, what colour shall we not have? I'll put this with a different one. So these will be warm yellows and these will be cooler yellows. Transparent might be cooler. So I've only got 6 there, so I'm not going to put 6 huge squares. So I think I'm going to put 6 on the top and 6 at the bottom. So we want those oranges, and then we want some red. So a cadmium red, and we want, that's a scarlet. That's a permanent alizarin crimson, which I've got permanent alizarin crimson, a scarlet lake, so we've got 3 of those. Scarlet lake. I could put the Cotman one in there. Scarlet lake. So I'm going to take the Cotman out. Since I haven't got any other Cotmans, I might as well stick to these. And I'm going to put my cadmium. So those 6 are going on there because I'm going to put a blob and then I'm going to put a colour gauge. So we've got alizarin crimson, permanent rose, a purple, and a purple. That's a shadow colour, that one. And then underneath we want French ultramarine. So put that one back. That's looking a purpley colour, I think. I'll have to open that. But when you open some of these, you've got to remember that they might shoot out and get you. So that's French ultramarine, so that can go in there. That's a cobalt blue, permanent blue. That's a Winsor blue. We've got quite a few blues, so I'm going to get rid of that one. And I'm going to get rid of that one. We did have a cadmium, didn't we? No, I didn't have a cadmium. What's that one? I haven't got a cadmium, so I might have to rethink that. I'll put that one out. So that could be 7. And so I need another one to go up here. There's an Indian red, which is a darker red, but I prefer it rather than down here. I do prefer it up there. This is what takes the time, guys, is messing about trying to put your colors together. Sorry if it's too boring. You just have to. This is what the mixing and messing about is. The nicest thing is when it's done. Again, this is another job to do because we can't get out. So this is a job to do that when we can't get out in the sun, we can take this little book and we can go off. And we can go off with our little book of watercolors and color the world. 2, 4, 6, 7. So what do I haven't got? I might as well put that cadmium red because it will be different. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 7, 2, 4, 6, 7. So I need 7 of the blues now. So now you've got to think, do I want, because they're cooler and they're warmer, so yeah, we'll do it that way. So we'll have those 2, and we want ultramarine is a green shade, so it's a bit cooler. And you can mix all your colors out like this because the idea is to get as many blobs of color on there so we're not mixing. So these are cooler colors. That's a purpley one, I think. I have to rethink this. So we've got 14 colors on there. How many more? Warmers. Permanent blue is the brighty blue. Ultramarine green shade. Winsor blue red shade. So we've got 2, 4, 6. We need another blue. Cobalt blue is a bit bluey. I think cobalt blue. And then we'll have another piece of, and this is extra wet strength. So if we've got this line here, we're not going to smear all this with colour. Let's find one that I can make a smaller square, and have a pencil, but I don't have a ruler. Do I have a ruler? Got a stick. So we could say if we again, we don't want to be really doing a lot. So if we do roughly half and half, you can measure it if you want, but I'm just so we need a blob of colour, and then we need a colour guide underneath it, and we need to name it. So this pencil probably is a bit too dark really, but hey ho. So let's do that in half again. So we've got 2, 4, 6. We've got 8 on that one. So where's the colour going? The colour can go in the middle. So if we put a square of this, we could put a square of this, but it's a big square that it will last a long time. just thinking about, sometimes these very strong colors, you are going to get a very, very long color. You're going to get a long, that's too wide. Perhaps that might be better. So if we did that and that, and put the color in the middle. I think that's what we're going to do. I think that would be okay. It's a bit wonky. Of course, you can have the time to do it longer if you want. So I'm going to put, I think I'm going to put that yellow with that one. So my first colors, and it's probably a good idea to write them out first before you squeeze them. So we've got 2, 4, 6, I've got 8 here, and then I'll have possibly 8 there. Let's have a look. 2, 4, 5, 6. It doesn't really matter. It's in crimson. I don't need that one because I've got it there. What's that one? Scarlet Lake. I've got that one. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 8. And then purple wise, I've got 4. So I need to drop one of these. Drop that one because I've got that one, French Ultramarine. So then we've got our next 8. Sorry guys, this is a bit of the faffy bit. I'm sorry, it's quite boring. So we've got cerulean blue, cobalt blue, Prussian blue, and that blue will be different. 2, 4, 6. There's British Sea. What's it? 1, 2. Windscreen blue, windscreen yellow, hooker's green, Televerta, permanent green, and hooker's green. 2, 4, 6, 8. And I've got that one, so we'll put that one up there. And permanent sap green, I don't have. Oh, that one's permanent sap green, so I've got that one. 2, 4, 6. So I need 2 more blues. And so put that green up there and Iridian. So I need to put something else here. So I've got a hooker's green and sap green. So I've got 2, 4, 6. So we could put, what else have we got? We've got that one's a yellow, so it could go up there. 2, 4, 6, 8. That's cadmium yellow, lemon yellow. What's that one? Okay, we'll put that one down here. I have to think about my greens. So this one we've got yellow ochre, British sand, goes with that brown, Indian red's warm, it's a yellow ochre. I've got yellow ochre there. That's yellow ochre. It's yellow ochre. A golden brown. Then we've got a raw umber. So I've got these 2. Burnt umber. Burnt shadow, which I think was to go there. And there's the redder colours, so there's those 3. Burnt sienna, Indian red deep, Is it burnt umber? Burnt umber, burnt umber, burnt sienna, burnt umber. So we've got 7 there, and 2, 4, 6 here, and 2, 4, 6. So I need a couple more greens. Now the other thing I could do is put a couple of my favorite blues with a couple of greens to make a green, because I do like to make greens like that. So that's that done. 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 7. 2, 4, 6, 8. So there's a burnt umber, raw umber, raw umber. So if I put those, take those away, and put that obscure one with that one. What other obscure one have we got now? I'll put those 2 with those. That's it. 2, 4, 6. I've got 9 now. 6, 8. Oops, that's burnt. That's sticky, that one. It's burnt out. 2, 4, 6, 8. I do like Hooker's green, but it's not. Oh, that's Hooker's green. So I've got 2 Hooker's greens. Oh, that works out quite well. So we'll put that in there. And 2, 4, 6, 8. Right, we've done it. So we've got 1 page, 2 page. So I've got 3 pages full of watercolors. Oh, hi, Scooby. Welcome to Funny Designs. Anybody else popping in? I'm still waiting for the boy to return. Don't know, I've got a fan there. Not quite sure where that's. So that took a little bit of doing, but now I've planned, I've got these colors. And again, these are the touch and go ones. So yes, the Hooker's green will be different to the other ones. And they'll be stronger, and you might want to use them to mix on the page, but you can just touch the colors. It is a bit messy, that. I think I might want to measure it. I do have my ruler handy, so we can probably do a better job of that. I'm not going to put too much on, so I think I might be okay. If I cut this one in half, that would give me 2, 4. That would give me 12. It would give me 12 squares. So I've got somewhere to label it, and I've got somewhere to color it. You need these are very strong, so you do need quite a long color swatch from your strongest to your palest. So that's that. If it was not a case of that, it'd be quite easy just to put blobs on, like here. I don't have any color swatches, but I think it's a good idea to put them on. So if I did that, then I would get I get 12 on each one. I don't have a Viridian. No, it's a bit weird. That's a bit unusual. Quite unusual. Oh. Never mind. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 7. Oh, we round it off to that one, which is I need a little bit of room for this. So you've got to make a decision of what colours you want to put in it, and then you need to decide how you're going to do it colour-wise. Still think that's not going to be enough, but never mind. Let's just we'll divide this, and again you decide how much paint you want to put on, how much do you want to waste. Well, not waste, but use. Sorry, that was the wrong word. How much do you want to use? I wouldn't put too much on to start with, just in case it doesn't work. So here we've got enough for a colour gauge. I don't think that's enough for a colour gauge though, really. I suppose it'll have to be, but and then squirt the colour out. I didn't want to put that much colour on, so I'd rather do a long colour guide, and I'd like to do that. So we may have to think I wouldn't put too much, because again you can always squirt a bit more out if you've used it all. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the colour down here, and I'm going to do the colour guide here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've actually got 12 on here. I think I'm going to see and do this. I think it might work. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8. So again, sometimes you've just got to wiggle diggle it a bit. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cadmium wants to go there, really. If we can help it, it can't. So we'll bring that one down. 2, 4, 6, and then we've got these 2 and these 2, and yeah, I think we can get rid of that one. Oh no, it's pale. That one's a pale one. That's an ordinary one. I'm going to pinch these 2. Oh, that one and that one. British sand is a pale colour, so that's going to have to go there somewhere. So we've got the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we've got, that's the first page, and we've got 2, 4, 6. It's the green one. 2, 4, 6. And then we've got 6. See? So we've got warms and darks. So we've got the siennas are warm and the Indian reds are warm, and the other ones are cooler. There's 2, 4, 5 in that one. Again, it's a faff. You've got to faff through your colours to find out what you want to put in. That's Windsor green yellow. That's Windsor green blue. That's Hoper's green, permanent green. I'm going to put those down there, I think. So I'll put the next ones on there. So welcome, guys. It's a bit bitty. I'm playing with my, well, not playing. Again, I always find this is a bit of the easiest way to do this. I'm revamping my watercolor book, so that it's stuffed to the rafters, and I need some extra wet sketchbook papers out. Now the other one I went to great length. I even rounded the corners on it, but of course I'm not going to be doing that with this one. But you can kind of really go to town and make it neat and round the corners off. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you get your papers and line them up and then move them like this, and as long as they are level, which mine aren't, when you do that, Alfie's on his way. Bark alert, guys. Alfie's on his way. Hi, Alfie. Thank you. Have you? Should we have an Alfie come? Alfie. Oh, he's on the bed. That's naughty.
Did she want to see your haircut?
Susie wants to see. Oh, Alfie's bald. Where did you go down the garden? Were you barking? Were you barking? Get down. Not supposed to, are you? No. No. Just put my.
They're giving me down for the haircut.
Has he had a bath as well?
No, I don't need to give him a haircut first and then a bath. But you didn't. We still got to do your feet, but he's having a bit of a break because he was grimble grumbling.
Was he? Come on then, let's be calm. Who's bald?
His ears were so bad.
I know.
And now this was short.
Come on then. Here goes Susie. You might be upside down. Let me just see if I can get the camera. Come on, Alfie. Come on then, Alfie. Here he comes. Hello. Here he is. He's little E. Oh, I can't see. Little girl he is. Whoopsie. Put the camera down. We might not be able to put the camera. Were you upside down, Alf? Oh, gee. I was not expecting that. Here's the boy. He's all baldy. He's got little girly ears. There you go, Suzanne. Say hello, everybody. Oh, leave my feet doing fast. He's baldy. Baldy. Hello. Got your little girl ears. He's got little girl ears. There you go. You've not been about for a while, have you? You still smell, even though you've not you shaved. Still a big boy, aren't you? You're going to do some drawing. There he is, the pretty boy. Oopsie, oopsie, he's a pretty boy. Aren't you? A beautiful boy. Are you a beautiful boy? I'm going to smell like you now. Am I going to smell like you now? He's got to go down because he gets the guinea piggies. He's not allowed upstairs unsupervised, are you? Go on then, off you go with your favourite person. Oh! You see, I don't exist. Thank you. Thank you. No. Once is enough. Go on, Daniel. Go on. Off you go. Naughty.
Stop being naughty. Alfie.
Alfie.
Alfie, come here.
Alfie. Goodbye. Come on. Good boy. Good boy. Thank you. Hurricane. Hurricane. Oh, there he is. He's allowed back up because the baby doesn't come round now because obviously she lives in quite a way. So a bit of an Alfie count. Has that made your day, Suzanne? He's still naughty. He's still just as naughty as ever. So in theory, if we do that way, and again, make sure everything's equal, it's just a quick way to do it. Again, I'm not really bothered if it's not going to be perfect because, you know, it's one of those things. Some of these aren't the same size, so it might not be perfect. And we'll have to do it that way because we went by that mark the first time. So now all we have to do is draw them across. And they don't fit. Typical. This is the important one, this one. So we'll do this one first. Why don't they fit? For goodness sake. Oh, don't know why they don't fit. Where's the first one? Bits of sticky glue everywhere now. Why don't they fit? That's what that one does. So I'm ready, boo boo. I'm always making boo boos. I don't like this pencil. It's a drawing pencil. It's too soft. Really, you want an ordinary HB pencil or a hard pencil to do this. Put some sticky glue on that. But you get the gist of the idea. We're just making lines to do this. Oopsie, come on. Sorry, I've got Alfie hairs everywhere now. It's a real soft pencil. It's not going to be nice because the thing is, if you touch this with water, it will move. I just don't know what I've done there. I have no idea why that's turned out like that. So I've just had a thought. If you've got the extra wet strength, you can stick two together. But if I did, it's still quite good. You can see it's bobbly, but it's still quite good. Is that? Oh, dear me. Oh, thank you, Suzanne. It's made a day. Yeah, yeah. The boy does that. Bless him. He brightens everybody's day up. He's always happy to see everybody. Ah, dear. I'm just trying to think. These probably will take 2 to 3 days to dry. So if you did it on a postcard, watercolor postcard, you'd have to wait quite a while before you turned it over and put them on the other side. But if you used extra wet strength, you could stick two together and it would be as sturdy as the watercolor postcards. I'm just trying to think. I think I might do mine on the postcards, I think. But because I know that it does, I mean, this does work. The other thing, it might not crack because it won't bend. So it may not crack. It's only cracked in 2 places and the colour hasn't come off. That's the Cotman, not to say that the others wouldn't. But I've just bent it now. So I am going to put mine on the postcards. But I think, looking for my fine pen and I haven't got one. Let's see how neat I can write on this one. I don't like those squares. They're driving me nuts. So I've got a Winsor and Newton ultramarine. Right, so I've got a pen. So you can do your lines, measuring, make your squares long, short, however you want. I think I'm just gonna wing it, I think, because my lines are all over the place and I don't have the patience to kind of do that. I think roughly I know where I want the colors, and I know roughly what colors I want, and I am going to label them because I will want to redo them. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a page of yellow, a page of yellow, page of orange, page of yellow, page of red, page of blue, page of purple, page of green, page of brown. I think that's the best way to do it. So if I put Winsor and Newton, lemon yellow, which is this one. I'm not going to do a color swatch. This is where I can't use mine. I can't get the tops off. So this is Winsor and Newton lemon yellow, and I think I'm just going to do this. And then I've got a Winsor and Newton Winsor yellow. Again, this is purely so that I can fill them up again. And again, I can't get the tops off, guys. Oh, you're welcome, Suzanne. You're welcome. I hope everybody else enjoyed the Alfie moment. So you see some of them squirt out. So we want about the same amount. Because believe me, I'll get more use out of them in this state than I will here, because I can't get the tops on and off. So then we've got a Winsor and Newton transparent yellow. No, I wouldn't have put that there, but it's there. You see, you can't always put them in color order. We're going to get quite a lot on here, actually. I think that sometimes you just got to go with it. So I want cadmium yellow. So we've got a Winsor and Newton cad yellow. And then we've got a Winsor and Newton New Gamboge. And remember, this is pure color, so it's going to last a while, this. And then we've got a Daler Rowney Gamboge. hue. And when these have dried, I will be using them with just the tip of the watercolor brush. So I'll end up with a little dip. These might take a week to dry. So like this one, they'll end up with a little hole starting in it. So I've got 6 on there, so I'm probably going to get 8 quite happily. So we've got a Daler Rowney, Sunlit Gold, so we've got some quite nice colours here. Just the touch and go system is going to be really good. And 2, 4, 6, 8. So we're going to have oops, Naples yellow. Oops, kitchen roll. I've not used them for a while, so they do. You do need to start using your colours if you can. Whoopsie. It's going to be a bit of a big blob, is that? Yuck. But never mind. I have had that many years, that one. And I think we might get 3 rows, actually. We'll see what we've done. So this one is transparent orange. I don't think I want to do a colour guide. Let me just have a look quickly. Somebody loves me. Oh, my daughter's been clearing the garden. So do I need a colour guide? Well, that's what I was going to do, wasn't it? Let me have a look. Let me have a bit of paper. And the water brush. You've got to remember not to put anything on there, because obviously that's easy done. I've lost the water brush. No, it's gone. I'll put it. So again, we'll have a touch of this one. Get the water going because it's been dry since yesterday. So I've got some water. it'd be quite useful to have a colour guide because I've not come across that colour before. And this one, again, these are quite sticky. They won't be because they are really nice watercolours. Yeah, you see, you do need a bit of a colour guide, so I may leave half of it so that I could just kind of do this and go to the bottom. I'm going to do that, I think, but I'm not going to do my colour guide, colour swatch yet. I'm going to get the colours out, but I think I will do half and half because we do like to see these colours, which we wouldn't do when we just look at that. So it is a good idea to have a colour guide. So I've talked myself back into the colour guide again. Let's find this. Okay, now you've got to be really careful. You've got to put these somewhere where nobody's going to touch it and you're not going to put anything on it because it's going to be right. So if I put a mark there, I do love this pencil, this ruler. It's got the 0 in the middle. Quite expensive. They've probably come down in price now, but really useful for things like this. So I will put a line across. You can draw the lines later if you feel that you want to. I'm not going to really be bothered. I'm just going to do a little tail across. Although I suppose it would be good to do it now, wouldn't it? I could do them while they are wet. So if we start with the lightest, you're not going to get, because they are so well pigmented, but I mean that's a beautiful color, but you wouldn't see that color when you look at that. So it's a good idea to do a color swatch. So it's going to work quite well. They're going to dry, and then I'm going to touch the middle of each one and end up with a well. So this one is, so they can go back now down here. So we've got transparent orange, so it's a W. That's a really beautiful orange, is that one? So there, pinky, scarlet. Scarlet would be next. So Scarlet Lake. It's a beautiful colour. And these are going to be really, really beautiful, rich colours as well. So you're going to get at least 10 shades out of here as well. I'm not going to use the Cotman one because it's cadmium red. It just so pale, doesn't it? So we want now be a bit careful because I've not used this before, so it might come out quite blubby. You may not see a difference now, but you may see a difference when it's watered down. Oh, I touched it. Knew I would. Knew I'd touch it. So the next one is cadmium red. I've got two cadmium. And this one is another reason why I want it out is because I'm finding it more and more difficult to use these, so that's a good reason for them to be out. Again, you've got to kind of keep yourself fairly clean. So then we've got Elysian Crimson. And again, this is another job to do. When we can't do anything else, so good time to do this the next few weeks, and then this will last you a year, maybe longer. And absolutely scrummy colours. Imagine all those flowers in the colour books with the touch and go system. And again, like when you use the Hydrus, you let them dry first. I can't get the lid back on. Oh, it's on. That's good. And Permanent Rose. Just a second. Permanent Rose. So I've been cooking upstairs, whoops, for myself. But the girls haven't been out because they can't go to work because the pub shut last week, and because my daughter had a bit of a sniffle, a bit of a wasn't sure, then she didn't go to work. So she only spent 2 days at her new job. So I'm not sure how she stands with working because she was in a care home and she felt poorly, so she didn't go in as a precaution. Oh, There's quite a lot there considering getting bigger pieces now. But anyway, never mind. I might just get the purples on here. It's 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, I think I'm going to get my purples on here. So I'm not sure what's going to happen because she started work in a care home. And decided that ultimately it's purple violet. And as I said, as a precaution, she didn't want to. So she rang the up and didn't go into work. But of course, I'm not sure how it's going to work for pay because she's not earning any money. So she's been off 2 weeks. So we don't know sure what's going to happen with her. But she's quite upset because she. Let's see what this colour's doing. Is it a purple? Oh, it's a something or other. It's out. It's like I think that's I don't know, but anyway, it's out there. It's a bit of a blobby one, that one. I'm going to put this. I'm going to put it somewhere that I might forget. So I'm going to put it in the window ledge, and it will dry. Oh, I've got one more job to do. Oh, that is a beautiful orange. That colour. It's a beautiful orange. So, if you've got any questions, as I say, this is a little job to do because we can't do anything else. It's a bit tedious. It's a bit mundane, but you could make one of these for your kids if they want to do colouring and drawing, and then they're not playing with your gorgeous paints. I'm going to do that first, actually. Just didn't get much of a colour swatch. You can't pick up too much because you don't get the colour swatch that it's going to do into lovely pale colours. I've only got one lot of noodles. Haven't you got any downstairs? This is why I want to go shopping because this is my emergency supply. Hang on a second. I've got some rice, but noodle wise. I thought I had some noodles. Has somebody got them? I've got rice up here. I've got rice.
I can just use spaghetti. They can work as noodles, but obviously I don't know if you can have spaghetti.
Yeah. I did have, unless somebody's come and got them, I did have one pack of noodles because I wanted to make those noodles that I make. But this is why I want to do one shot because I really have nothing.
So can I use spaghetti?
I found them. But I was using these, but you might as well have the stock.
There's rice ones, but they're not.
These are instant rice noodles.
Yeah, I can't use them. They're fine, so I'm gonna have to use spaghetti.
Use spaghetti then. That'll be fine. I can have spaghetti. That'll be fine. I've only got one stock cube, so I wanted to get some shopping, but sorry about that, guys. I got my supply upstairs so that I could cook for myself in case they wanted to carry on going outside. Because I'm cooking. I am cooking I am cooking for myself. Well, when I say cooking, I am throwing things in a pot and turning it on. So it's actually quite nice of me. I think this is going to be quite a darker blue. It is, yeah. But so I'm going to let that dry, and if you can see, I need something thick. So I think last time I built a little reg round. I've got some little foam stickers, and I put it all the way around, so it created enough space so that when the plastic was on top, it was like a frame. So that's what I've got there. So I really like those colors. There's some beautiful colors, very strong colors. So that's going to work really well. So if you didn't have the Hydrus or anything that's strong, just trying to think where to put it, because wherever I put it, I'm going to forget. Because that's me. Either put it under the computer where it might be warm, under here. I might just have to leave it there. I think I'm bound to put something on it. So I've got these little trays. Can't be dusty, because if anything dusty will stick. God, I can't pick it up now. So I'll put this little tray up there, and it's not going to dry fast. I might just have to put it in there and forget about it, but that's fine. That's fine. So I need another one. So I'm probably going to get them all on here. I think I'll get them all on here. And again, it's quite nice to put them in order, but as some come out the tube, you realize it's not going to be that easy. So the ultramarines, the cobalt, permanent blue is warmer than cobalt. These two are cold, and these two will be warm. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. In British C will be 10. And I've got 2, 4, 6, 8. I've got 8. Okay then. So I think, well, that one's the same as that one. French ultramarine. They're both Winsor & Newton. So they will be the same color. So we've got Winsor & Newton. And one thing that I'd forgotten that I'd bought is, well, I bought some paints, and this was in it, and I've never used one before, so let's have a look, see if it works. It seems to be working. And then we've got Daler-Rowney, permanent blue. And if you squeeze the bottom, squeeze the So I hope you found this interesting. Sorry, it's quite laborious, but at least you can see it in real time that, yeah, it is a chore. It is a chore. But then again, you see the colours that you haven't. Oh, I can't get them done. The colours that you haven't seen for a long. This is why I can't. This is why I can't use tubes now, because I can't get the colour tops back on. I just can't get that top on. Let's just see if I can get. Clean the top. Let's see if I can get this back on. If I can't get it on, I'm going to have to squeeze it all out into a pan. This is another reason why it's not going on this at all. It's not going on. It's going to have to be cobalt blue. Oh, cobalt blue is not as warm as ultramarine. So that's Winsor Newton French ultramarine. This is Winsor and Newton ultramarine. Green. So this is going to be a cooler one actually, but never mind, it's out now. Oh, for goodness sake, Heather. At least you can see, whoopsie, exactly how it comes out and what to expect. And then we've got Phthalo Sapphire. I don't want to make it too, makes it too big. So if you've got poly hands, this is another good way to now again, they all look similar, but they won't be when you lighten them down a bit. So I think we'll have cobalt blue next. Oops, it's not, it's still around it. Cobalt blue. And I think this might be the end of this one, I think. Again, I've not used one of these, but let's see if it works. No. I do like cobalt blue, actually. I don't know if I've got a cobalt blue somewhere else to have a look. No, I don't think I'm strong enough to do this. No, I can't. Oh, I just can't get it out. there will be enough in here to do a blob, but it's whether I'm strong enough to get it out or not. Ow, ow. Ow. Really hurts me to use my hands. But we did it. That can go in the bin then. Oh, dear. So we've left with, we've got cerulean blue, Prussian blue, Winsor Newton, Winsor blue red. Let's see what this one does. Do not tell my dentist. Come out, come out, come out. Uh-oh. This is going to be fun when it comes out. It's going to squish out tons of it. I know it is. Pokey tool, pokey tool. We need the pokey tool, pokey tool, pokey tool. We need the pokey tool. Have to wash that now. Oh, there's the boy. He's having a mad half hour, as Alfie does. Oh, for goodness sake, Mrs. There's tons of blue on that. Something's going to blow in a minute. It's going to blow in a minute. And the other thing is we want it out of here. Yes, I did, Suzanne. But the problem is Samantha gave up her job at the pub to work. And she did it because she couldn't get weekends off to see her boyfriend. Of course, now she can't see her boyfriend anyway because he's in Nottingham. So, but she can't be penalised because she did the right thing. So I think that's going to stick. It's very dry, is that? But that's fine because that will dry and then it will be a beautiful colour. But she's not done a probation at a new job. That's the problem. If she'd done the job at the probation at a new job, she would have had a month in now, but she stopped working 2 weeks ago. I'm not doing very well with these, am I? Oh, come on. If you're not careful, it will squidge out the bottom. So let's see if we can get this one going as well. Yeah, it's a better one. Uh-oh, it's going to pop out now. Ooh, it's going to pop out now like I don't know what. There we go. And we now need the top on there quick. So then we've got Winsor and Newton. Cerulean blue. And I can always go buy another Daler Rowney Prussian blue, and it will be the same colour. So I'm not panicking. These colours will be about, some of these might not be now, this Daler Rowney, but the Winsor Newton one definitely will. Have I got another Prussian blue? That'll be fine. There's a lot of these were bought second hand. So we need our line across. I need to make sure that I do not touch that. So thanks guys for stopping by. I will be doing some colouring in a bit. Just want to get this out of the way, and then you can do this with any good quality watercolor. The children's ones might not do as well. 6, 8. I've got 9. Not really bothered about. Oops, that's it again. I think I could put midnight green on there. I've got 2, 4, 6, 7. Eight. I put my greens on here, I think. So that's the darkest. Viridian is the brightest. Hooker's green, I think. Sap green will be first. So we put sap green. So Winsor green. This. To divert it. This one. Windsor green, I think. Windsor Newton, Windsor green. And that's, oopsie, that's the blue. Oh, there were two colours. I don't know if I've used them yet. Just realised there were two colours, but this isn't going to come out, this one. So it's soft at the bottom here. It's very soft, but it's hard here. So if we can't, oh, now we've broken in. Now we're going to get a big blob now, I think. So you've pushed that, once you've pushed that in, oopsie, here we go. Da, da, da. And then we need the lid on. We've got a little bit of blue in that from the blue off here, but never mind. I can live with that. I can live with that. Focus green dark. So this is a no, it's no, that is hard. That one it won't come out. Focus green. And then we've got Windsor green, yellow. So as I say, this is a fiddly thing, but you know, this is a job to do when we have to stay at home. Light green. Ah, this is completely solid. Now, it's completely solid. You hear that crack? This is one that you want to open up and use this one that needs to be opened up and used as a different one. Now, what other greens did I have in here? I don't know now. So I'll put them back. Never mind. If I find any other greens, I can put them on here. So that's another one to go and be. So I've got. So that's quite a lot of colour, that. And I'm going to put the browns. Put browns and another postcard. Because I don't want them to crack. So that's the only reason. So we'll put these in some kind of order. I think there were quite a few obscure colours as well, wasn't there? Might not be enough in that yellow ochre. So let's write this one down. We've got Daler-Rowney, British Sea, sorry, British Sand. Oh, this is another one that's quite an unusual colour. It's a grey colour, I think, probably. This is brown ochre. We'll do yellow ochre first. So again, I'm not sure how much I'm going to get out of this one. So see if I can use this. As we'll get, because yellow ochre, I use it quite a lot actually. So, oh dear, fingers, silly fingers. Yeah, not going to get any more of that out of there, unfortunately. And then we've got gold brown. So if I actually really love some of these colours and I've run out, I can always just go buy an odd one. And then I can replenish it so that it's not going to be disastrous. Yellow titanite. Titanate. Never heard of it. Possibly should be with the yellows. That's quite a nice colour, that. I haven't got space on my yellows. I've got a yellow ochre. This one is dark brown. Oh, it's quite a nice nutty bark colour, that. But again, you can't tell it's even your colour swatch. So we'll do raw umber. I do a lot of the reason I've got quite a lot of this, I do a lot of I used to do a lot of sketching in one color, so that's probably why they're like that. So then we've got Winsor & Newton, burnt umber, I like to sketch with a paintbrush. Oops, just a paintbrush and burnt umber. Get some quite nice effects. I haven't done that for a long time actually, so that might see if I can just push that down. So I can still read it. So I might as well do the dark browns on the top and then the reds on the bottom. So we've got Winsor & Newton raw umber, oh hi Shannon, welcome back. Oh hi Nichols. Welcome to Bunny Designs. Just apologize for the pronunciation. I can't see very well. If I put my glasses on, I can't see here, and I can't see. I'm completely blind if I put them on. So it's the lesser of two evils. Burnt shadow. Welcome to Bunny Designs. I'm just doing a very boring job, but it should work out to be really interesting. Oh, that's a nice color. When we can all get out and about, this in our watercolor book, oh, we've got some fluff on there, will be, this is a job to do when you're stuck at home. So I've got an Indian red deep. So I need to put my ruler line, pencil, make my watercolors more transportable in my little watercolors, and I'm hoping to try and get 1,000 shades of colors, which is going to be 10,000 colors. So Indian red deep, Winsor & Newton. What that will do, it will give me 10,000 tones or shades. That's completely portable and will go with us flick and swish, touch and go. So it's a flick of color, touch and go. So we've got burnt sienna, should be another reddy color as well. And then we've got Indian red, so that's Daler Rowney Indian red. And there's room to put some more on here. A lot of these are really old and they're very stiff. And you can tell this one's split at the bottom, so I'm going to try and squeeze it because eventually this will dry out. So let's count the colors. I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36 shades in every one. I didn't do the color. I didn't do the color swatch, did I? So let's do a color swatch. So we'll just do it. You see it's drying already. I'll do a color swatch. It's not going to be dead accurate. I wish it would. Oh, you see the drying already. We're probably going to get 10 shades out of here, 10 tones, because they are so, oops, you see that one, I'm going to have to take that. I can't see really what it does. Look at that one. You see, that's the one that we would normally throw away. But we're getting some idea of what they can do. Oops. Get to clean the brush. And then we want the green one. So though they look quite similar, they are in fact a lot different. That might be a cheaper one, that one. I don't know why that's doing that. It's collapsed. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they're not stable. So we've got all those colours. And then we can see what these can do. Not sure what this is going to do, but oops, not too bad. This one. Oh, the birds are tweeting. This one, it's a beautiful colour, is that one. This one. Can't really see what that can do. It's very strong, is that one. You don't need much. So again, because these are professional watercolours, you know, they really are absolutely scrumptious. So they'll dry just like a pan, but they're in the shape we want. I'm interested to see what this one does. Oh my, that's a beautiful colour, is that one. Just pick up a small amount and then take it as far as we can. So again, another 10, at least 10 shades with all these lovely pale colours just from that. So again, we've got some beautiful colours there, and when they're dried, I can put I can either make a little, and then once they're completely dry, they'll go hard like the other one I've got somewhere. I don't have done with it now. That one. They will eventually go like this, and they'll dry. So I hope that's been a little bit interesting. I do have a lot more watercolors somewhere, but I don't know where they are. But at least if you get difficulty with the tops, again, once they're in this flick and go system, they're instantly there for you. And they're really nice colors to use. I think I'm going to put, I might just get that one over the top there, like that, because right, so I'm going to have to forget about those. It might take even a week to dry out. But again, it's another little job to do when we've got to stop in and get these mundane jobs doing. But just imagine now having those in the little book of watercolors. So it's definitely growing now. See? So we've got, oh gosh, what a bit of sellotape stuck to me. So I've got my 72 Derwent watercolor pencils in there. I've got my 72 Inktense. I've got my Graphitint, my Derwent Graphitint. I've got about 100 and maybe 120 Neocolor 2s because I've got that obscure vintage set. Some of these want revamping, but because I've named it, all it's a case of is picking out this color and scratching over the top, and that will be able to do. I've got I think I've got 6 or 8, so about 30, 40 peerless. I've got 36 of the Swiss watercolor pencils and 36 of the Castle, something Castle, I think it is. Then I've got my 36 Gansai Tumby watercolors, and then I've got space for lots of other things, and I've got some more peerless. I'm not sure if I'm going to put them in. I might stick to my little set, but for the simple reason is I do like to see those yellows and pick different yellows, whereas if I have 2, I'd have to flick differently, and these do last a long time. These are the original squares that I put on, except for the Tea Rose, and that's the one I did the horse with, the roses with, when my husband had a stroke. So I took this book with me when my husband had a stroke. I didn't have time to get much. I picked my new Kirby book, which was new then. I picked my #1 Derwent watercolor brush, and I took this, and that's what kept me sane for about 8 hours in the hospital. And it was silent, and it kept me really calm, which kept hubby calm, and it kept everybody else calm. So I know the touch and go system works. There's no mixing of colors. This is why we want them all on here. It's touch and go, flick, touch and go. And I am hoping to get 1,000 squares of color, and that will be 10,000 tones and colors, because every square has the potential for 10 different shades from one square. So I've got that to fill. I'm pretty sure I'm going to take some of these out. I don't have the hair colors in, so I'm going to go through and find the ones that are missing, because I think there's a couple of pages missing, because I think there's quite a lot of greens in there. So I'm going to go through, revamp it, stick these down because they're not stuck down. All these are stuck down. I did them last night, but these are not stuck down, so they'll be stuck down. It's easier to color the squares in before you stick them in, a lot easier. So I would make the squares, put them where you want them, and then stick them down and then label them. But that's the easiest way, and it should still shut. You know, it's supposed to hold 100. Put it somewhere. It's supposed to hold 100 photographs, so it's designed to fatten out. But it's not going to bother me if it is that fat. I'll just break the spine here and here and put another crease on, so it'll be a bit shorter. But everything will fit in quite nice. And as I say, you can put a nice, this is a smaller version, which has 100 photos in it. So you can put your colors in it, and then you can put at the front, you can put your logo or something nice to go on the front, so it's not ugly. I'm going to be putting this at the front, so that this is going to be my palette here. So that's when I'm going to use it. So thanks for stopping by, guys. I think this is my tea coming up. I have to see, because I don't eat with everybody. I stay away from everybody at the moment. because of my kidneys and because of my, although I didn't get a letter, so I'm not as most at risk as I thought I was, but because I've got asthma and because I've got CKD, I'm got to be a bit careful. So that's why I've been keeping. Oh, thank you, darling. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Hopefully there'll be more videos. As I say, no, it's not sounding my tea yet. I do about 3-hour videos because I think this one's been a bit boring today. So I apologize, guys. I will put these in and label them. So thanks a lot, guys. Have a wonderful afternoon. Thanks. Oh, thank you. Hi. So have a lovely afternoon. I might come back on in a bit if I get something more interesting to put in here. So thanks for watching. Have a lovely afternoon.
Have a